Am I doing the branding or are you doing the branding? What's going on here?
I guess I can do the branding here. We are live. Hey everybody, it's Will Middleton and Kurt Von Ahnen from LifterLMS. We're going to be live here for the next hour answering pre-sales questions, getting started. Just any questions you have about LifterLMS, let us know in the chat. Also, let us know where you're calling in from. I got a notification just now on Facebook that Chris Badgett is live. I don't know how to change that because it's me and Kurt who are live. Picture of me and Kurt, but it says Chris is live.
Social
Let's figure that out.
quizzes, membership management. Humor's basically no need for a management.
Don't laugh at the song in the background. Starts talking randomly.
They're left in the lurch.
Hey man, you're left in a lurch.
All right, let me pull up some YouTube comments from last week that we could kick it off with while people are joining.
Yeah, and like right off the shoot, man, like if you are seeing this live, pop into the comment section, let us know where you're at, where you're coming from, engage with us because, this is live and we're here for you. I am in Kansas.
Awesome. I'm in Georgia.
Georgia. Marcus Carter's here from Spain. ¿Cómo está, Marcos? Smyrna. Yeah, I didn't get too technical on the Kansas thing. I will tell you that I went bicycling yesterday, Will, for the first time in over a month. And I found a street here in this little town called Bicycle Boulevard.
Nice. That's so is it a big bicycle place there?
I don't know yet. We're going to find that out. But I just went out and did a quick little 4 or 5 miles, just a little warm up.
Let's see. Cool. Well, I'm scrolling through YouTube comments here in the background, but anyone feel free to drop any comments in chat. Our first question around LifterLMS from our YouTube channel. Do we have to use the premium plugins to get it functioning? LifterLMS has the free core plugin. You can find it in the WordPress repository. So no, like Kurt's saying, you can build courses and memberships and have students enrolling in your stuff. And you can even use the manual gateway with LifterLMS, the free version. You can accept payments with something like WooCommerce or PayPal Direct or whatever, and then manually enroll students with the free core plugin. If you wanted some optimization, like automatic enrollment with LifterLMS Stripe, LifterLMS PayPal, the WooCommerce extension, these add-ons include functionality that make the process of enrolling a little bit more smooth, and that's why they're some of the more popular add-ons. We have them included in our Earth bundle, the lowest bundle on the pricing page, to make those accessible. And then of course we have all kinds of add-ons for advanced quizzes, private areas, social learning in the Infinity bundle that really take things to the next level.
I'm just going to throw it out there, Will. Jonathan, who is a friend of LifterLMS with WP Tonic, he mentions us on the show all the time, and he constantly talks about kind of the unbelievable power that comes in the free version of LifterLMS. I mean, you get member controls, you get learning controls. You mentioned the manual payment gateway. Dude, you get a lot out of the box. Like if you're a corporate client and you want to use LifterLMS in some kind of internal training site, out of the chute, free works just phenomenally well in that situation. So no, you do not need the premium plugins to get the thing to function. The premium plugins are really great for course creators that, if you want to make money on your project and turn this thing into a business, then, marketing automations, payment gateways, and things like that are the premium add-ons that you really want to focus on.
Absolutely.
Now, I got to throw this out here. Grace recognized that I am, where did it go? There it is. No, that's Marcus. I don't want to talk about Marcus yet. I want to talk about Grace. Grace noticed that I moved to Kansas, and she says it's great to see me looking energized after the move. Grace, I'm burning this candle at both ends. This is all an act. Leave it at that. Want to talk about Marcus?
Yeah.
Marcus is English.
Actually, English, maybe we'll remember some a few individual sessions. Yeah, I remember Marcus from the liftoff sessions we used to do in Zoom. Getting another Facebook notification. Chris is live at the same time. So now Chris is live again doing a podcast. So we have to compete with Chris for viewers. Yeah, I absolutely remember Marcus. Carter, I think Carter School of English is his project. He's got a big following on TikTok for marketing. I think it's English speaking to Spanish students. I had an issue this summer running a membership program for 8 months with a recurring monthly payment. The problem was that I had students enrolled at different times of the month, so when I wanted to finish the course at the end of August and start a new one immediately afterwards. In September, I couldn't change the price of the order, right? So when students sign up for a membership program that's recurring monthly payment, so it's like $10 a month, $100 a month, whatever it is, once that order post type is created, it's locked in as to what that student is paying. So if we have like 100 students paying $10 a month, and then we want to raise the price of our program to 15 or $20 a month, it's not going to let us change it on our existing students who already have an order created with the LifterLMS system. Unfortunately, I know in like WooCommerce recurring payments you can change it, but it has to be manual. But yeah, unfortunately, changing the price on students who are currently in there, they do have to generate that new order to get the new pricing tier, and then manually cancel the orders with 150 students. I think you can, yeah, you could cancel the orders. I think those can be canceled in bulk. I'd have to go pop open a Lifter site and check it out, but yeah, they would have to re-sign up and confirm that they're going to be fine with the price changing. I don't know, Kurt, have you ever run into that situation before where you want to up the price on existing students?
Well, yeah. So the workaround for that is let that original product expire and then build a secondary product and resell, you know, and then you can make the secondary product whatever price you want because it's a new enrollment, it's a new sign up. But to your point, if somebody got in at an earlier price, they're grandfathered in the system. If you try to, what do you call that? Re-enroll, reissue, reactivate an existing platform, it puts them in at the original price.
Yeah, it will put them back in at the original price because they can just reactivate that order. I'm trying to think of like another solution to that. I think making that course product expire and cloning it and having a new course product would be the way to go.
Yeah, I've seen some people really struggle with that because so the use case. So here we are with use case again. The use case, pardon me, for this being an issue is somebody has a course and they let people sign up and then they modify that course and grow that course as they go. They're kind of like building in public, and then they want to increase the cost or value of the course as they build the course. There's a certain psychology that says, well, you should reward the early adopters and let them renew at the earlier price anyway, right? Because they were with you at the beginning as you grew. But there's another model that says, as you increase value, you want to increase cost. So I see it from both sides. The problem with letting it expire and then cloning and then relaunching with a new price model is a lot of these things they're doing in like real time. So the use case that I've seen before might be like this week it's this much, and then 2 weeks later it's something else, and 2 weeks later it's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing. And so to have a whole course expire and then renew on another thing can get confusing and tedious, because if you want to migrate the existing user base over that's still active, you have to kind of do that manually as well, unless you start getting into some WP Fusion stuff.
Right. Yeah, there might be some automations you can do with WP Fusion. I think, I mean, for Marcus's situation where you have 150 students at the previous plan, expiring that course or just canceling those students and then creating kind of a longer term program. If you know that you're going to have this program expire as well after a year, you could even set your LifterLMS access plan to expire after a certain time period. Let me share my window here. If I go to my demo site, this would have to be done beforehand, unfortunately, so we couldn't do it now that the students are already enrolled, but we can always say expires after went a little crazy, 8 months. If we wanted to do like an 8-month program, we could do it that way. And I have the Classic Editor block enabled, or the Classic Editor plugin, which is why my screen looks a little bit different than what you might see in the default WordPress. But we could say expire after 8 months or expire after 12 months. We could really kind of customize what that would look like, but we would have to do it before the students enroll in the course. So if you're going to do another program similar, that's probably what I would do. So Marcus tried a program, $7 a month, high volume, which didn't reach the expectations, but I followed through with the course. Yeah. So if you had that like $7 per month plan, so it'd be like, let me deactivate WooCommerce as well. In LifterLMS out of the box, it would be, man, we have a lot of add-ons. Start strong. It would be something like this. You do $7 every month for 8 months. So it would expire after 8 months. You could even do $7 every month for 8 months, and it expires after 8 months would be kind of the way to do that. Going in up front, if you know you're going to be doing another 8-month program. But if you don't know what the next program will be, if you think it's going to be like a monthly recurring into the future, there might be something worth considering around WP Fusion or something like Kurt mentioned, where you can have those more advanced billing setups that might be subject to change later. But it's a little more custom than Lifter offers out of the box.
Yeah, if it's truly a program that has an expiration, like it's an 8-week program, a 6-month program, whatever, in theory, they'll do the 6-month program, they'll time out, and then they're done, right? So in theory, they time out, but it sounds like this is an example where they re-enroll, maybe to be part of the community or to do something else. And that's where the difference between a course and a membership really comes into play too, psychologically within the site. So if the learning content is done in 6 months, 8 months, whatever, but the students are finding the need or the want to still be involved in the site, maybe that's when a membership upsell comes in, and you do a membership upsell with some kind of a social tool or something like that.
Right, yeah. And then you're kind of separating the course content from the community content a bit there.
Yeah. But once you have 150 students in something, that's enough people to start a social part of it. Some people use a Facebook page or a Facebook group, but realistically, you could put something into your WordPress site that kind of curated your own social tools within your own environment, and then you keep them in the site longer, which is kind of a nice benefit.
Mm-hmm. And then Marcus said, I have an expiry date with $29 a month for next June. Okay, but what about students who enroll halfway through between now and next June, and they get to the end of the course in June?
Well, the heck with them. They signed up late.
Right. Yeah, you could gradually lower the price of the program and change the access plans. So like I was sharing on screen here, like that would be something that you'd manually have to do though. So you'd have like the $29 per month for like 8 months if it's from now until June, and then you would just change this each month. So we would say 8 months, and then we would move into October, and then you would change it to 7 months, drop this to 7 months. So then the price would go down if you're wanting everybody to end at a certain date but enroll at different times. I haven't heard that one before, where like we're ending the course on a certain date but we're having people enroll at different times. You could do something similar to that, or you could just use the LifterLMS setting to say restrictions. We have a course time period, course enrollment period. These are also popular settings to say that you can only enroll in this course during a certain period, and you can only access the lessons in the course during a certain period. That doesn't necessarily relate to pricing, but it kind of puts a limited scope on your courses. So then you could have a future course starting next June that people can go ahead and enroll for, but they won't be able to access until the start of the content.
Yeah, and there's tools like the course scheduler that helps with that as well. And then there's cohorts that'll be coming shortly that I don't think we're ready to talk about at length yet, but it has some tools to organize people in groups to go through at the same time.
Yeah. Then Grace said if they have access to prior content, even if they start late, there's no reason to lower the rate. Absolutely. Thanks for that, Will. I'm putting people in all the time. Yeah, you just kind of have to compromise on the pricing strategy. Unfortunately, there's not like a pricing strategy that's currently optimized for like the amount of time you'll have access to the course, balancing with the price and stuff like that. Oh yeah, that's a comment from YouTube. That was on a video.
I like that one.
Yeah. That's actually an older video that Chris did a few years ago that was a comment on.
And you know what? Shout out to Marcus for having that problem, because at least he's got traffic. He's got people, right? I mean, think about the enrollment summit where, like, the big goal is to get 10 paid customers or 25 paid customers, or, your first 50, first 100. Like, those are milestones for a lot of course creators. And he's already exceeded that. So he's got a working proof of concept and something he can grow on. Congratulations to him. That's awesome.
Totally. Then we had a question here from Seraphim in chat. Hey guys, any update on supporting multiple languages? Our current setup with LifterLMS languages, I don't know if there's new information about translations at GlotPress. We currently have a community contributed translation contribution. So this comes from community members who translate LifterLMS on their own website. They translate terms like, I don't even know what the terms would be that you'd need to translate in Lifter. It could be, things like enrollment period, for things like the backend, different strings that you can translate in Lifter, and our community members will translate those and then contribute these to GlotPress here. So we don't have a dedicated team at LifterLMS for like translating specific items. It's more community contributions, and then our developers will take those contributions and approve them, so they'll be available for other people to use on their sites.
Well, and again, kind of depends on what the end goal is, but like I just did a project where we installed Translate Press and then backed it up with DeepL as an upgrade for stronger translations. And, some of the outlying languages, and I shouldn't say it like that, but there's, some of the less popular languages were a little wanting, but like Spanish, French, Italian, the common ones, it's like a really great translation.
Yeah, and I haven't worked with the translation of Lifter too much. I've only done it on like 5 websites total, and those were kind of older ones, but Seraphim said that these tabs keep referring back to their default languages. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a great solution for you there other than reaching out to support and asking there if there's a way to store those files so that they'll remain the same with updates. Because I know sometimes you can store files, translation files inside of like the LifterLMS core plugin, but then when the LifterLMS core plugin updates, those translation files go away because they're not included in the newest release. So if Lifter releases 7.4 and you have translation files in your 7.3, it's just going to download the new files for 7.4, which won't include the translations. So I thought there was some kind of way you could store the files in a way that doesn't get overridden, but I haven't really taken a look myself at translation details and how those PO files are stored too deeply.
Marcus is using Telegram.
Oh, Telegram group? Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Telegram's awesome, internationally for one reason, but also from a censorship perspective. There's a lot of freedom on Telegram.
Awesome. I don't know if I've used Telegram very much, but Marcus said, since I spoke to Will last time, not only do I have courses doing well, which is awesome, like live teaching on Zoom, but I currently have 2 digital courses doing well too. That's awesome. Congratulations. Thank you so much for the plugin. It's really easy to automate everything and have passive income. Great to hear. Thanks for the feedback. Marcus, I think I saw a message from Marcus on Facebook. I just haven't gotten into my Facebook DMs yet this week, but I'll reply over there.
Yeah, sweet.
As well.
And I like little success stories, right? It's cool to hear. He's pretty liberal with that term passive, though. I don't really believe in passive income because there's always something to do.
It's time
I think,
innovate. I got the tools
I'm
to
not
educate.
mistaken, there
Can you make
was
sure she's not dead?
Built for business as course creation.
Just heard a crashing noise in my house.
Learning quizzes, membership management. Humor's baked in, no need for a management enhancement. It's the
see,
best
I'm
LMS.
pulling up on my other screen here. I think Marcus did a podcast episode with Chris as well. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, there's a podcast episode about Carter School of English for anyone who wants to check that out. I'll put a link to that in the chat. I should probably find it on the website. Is everything all good in the home front, Kurt?
Well, I heard a large crashing noise, which is why I took my earbuds out and hit mute. But apparently nobody's bleeding and nobody needs to go to the hospital, so we're going to be okay.
Nice.
It's time to innovate. We're stuck in the lurch.
Let me pull up another YouTube comment as well. There we go. So this is the podcast URL to our site. No problem. Let me see if I had any other comments I put in there. Thanks so much for the information. This was a comment on a podcast episode. After knocked down by cancer a couple of years, I've been trying to get motivated to finish my online school. I'll start with my 800 video classes this week. That was a comment from Richard Connor, who sometimes is on our live streams.
He's the sensei guy, right?
Yeah. Free or paid. And then this is another comment that's similar to the one we already answered. Is the plugin free or paid? So LifterLMS has the free core plugin that allows you to create courses, memberships, quizzes, and everything on your website. And then the paid products on our store enhance the free core plugin by adding payment gateway functionality and by adding other advanced functionality you can find on our pricing page. Broken down, and currently there's a lot of pop-ups. There's a coupon for $100 off until tomorrow, September 15th, 100 cash. That's a really funny name for a coupon, but save $100 today on any bundle or add-on. So you could save $100 off the Earth bundle, or you could do $100 off of like the Stripe extension, which is $120 a year. So you can get the first year of a Stripe extension or something like that for $20. So that's a really good deal that we're running right now.
It's a really great deal. I feel like Howie Mandel, deal or no deal?
But yeah, $20 for the first year of a Stripe extension is a pretty great deal. Stripe.
You know, I'm not listening to it. I'm just kind of seeing it on the screen. It looks like Sarah Duran is dropping some wisdom on Chris. Talking about unlocking growth as a solopreneur. Dude, we're dropping content like crazy lately. This is awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Let me dig up some more questions from YouTube. This is a good question. This is a question I think we already answered about using Zoom and LifterLMS. I just troubleshooted a Zoom setup yesterday, Zoom and WordPress. There's a Zoom WordPress plugin. It doesn't integrate directly with Lifter, but it does have I just got distracted. Akash is in chat. Akash works at LifterLMS, so that's awesome. We've got developer support.
It's got the rocket.
But
Zoom does not integrate directly with LifterLMS, but
yeah, it doesn't integrate directly with LifterLMS, but there is an option to integrate with WordPress. And Kurt actually has a video about integrating Zoom with WordPress with this extension, and the API key details the previous way that you connected Zoom to WordPress with this separate plugin was deprecated. So now there's a new way. They have a nice tutorial in the dashboard about how you can find your current API keys and check all the boxes in Zoom to give it access and everything. But I just went through troubleshooting that yesterday.
Yeah, the trick there is you got to make sure that you follow the installation guide, the configuration guide. I'm going to drop the link to the article right into the comments here so people might be able to see
Social
that.
learning, quizzes,
Uh,
membership management. Humor's baked in, no need for a
Install
management enhancement. It's the best of the
article
best, no need to search. The
for Zoom.
competition, they're left in the
And
lurch.
then, I went public a couple of times, Will, and I'll just say it again. Zoom for me, 3 years ago when I really started putting this Zoom stuff into my WordPress sites. I mean, it was the go-to product, right? Like Zoom was the go-to product. But now there's competition in the field, right? And so WP Stream is a way that you can put Zoom and other streaming tools into your website. WP Stream's a really flexible tool for that in WordPress. But then if you're just doing meetings, if you just want to have a live meeting and have it be inside your website, you can use Whereby, or you can use a tool called Jitsi. And Jitsi seems confusing at first because there's multiple ways to do it, either self-hosted or platform hosted. So you have to kind of look at the options. But there are a ton of ways to do a live meeting now inside your WordPress website. And if you're holding an LMS, if you're doing a learning management system and you want to incorporate like a blended learning example where it's part, evergreen material and part instructor led, it's a great way to go. Really great way to go.
Mhm. Yeah, integrating live streams into the backend of your WordPress site is super powerful thing to be able to do, especially when you can restrict it to a LifterLMS membership page or something like that. But this coupon code 100 cash is available through I think 9/15, yep, September 15th. And yeah, that's
Show
a
me the
really,
money.
really great deal. You could get a year of LifterLMS Stripe or any other payment gateway for $20. And my address is in Minnesota, so that's why there's this tax. Usually there's not a tax, but I think Minnesota is the only place that has tax. And that's where
Show me the money.
I usually operate out of, so it knows that. Charge me $1.38 in tax.
It's time to elevate, time to innovate. I got the tools to educate, no room for debate. LifterLMS, the one and only. Built for businesses.
All right, now what do you want to talk about, Will?
Social learning,
We
quizzes,
can talk
there you
about
go.
the Facebook page. On the Facebook page, someone was saying, does anyone know why there doesn't seem to be a way to adjust the settings for the course syllabus widget? I'm trying to make it collapsible, but I don't see the options. And then there was a reply actually from Chris that said, use the LifterLMS course outline widget block. So that might be something we could point out real quick to people that are getting a little bit lost.
Yeah, and real quick, Marcus said, interested in the advanced quizzes add-on. Absolutely, that coupon would apply to that as well. That's like a $240 add-on, so if you get $100 off that, bring it down to $120 for the
Boom.
first year of advanced quizzes. Great deal there. Let me put the comment you spoke about here in Facebook in the chat. This is the right one, right? Does anyone know adjust the settings for the course syllabus widget. Trying to make it collapsible, but I don't see the options. So let me check out that answer. Using the LifterLMS course outline widget block. Oh, I see. So this user is in the sidebar settings, specifically in the sidebar settings. So I'm not using a theme that supports sidebars. I'm using LifterLMS SkyPilot, so we can just use the editor to put something in the left 30% of the page and just call that a sidebar. But let me switch my theme real quick. I think this user is probably using something like Cadence.
Boom.
And when you're using something like Cadence, you'll have an option for widgets. And that's where the sidebar will become a thing. We've got the course and lesson sidebar. In the screenshot on Facebook, that's what they're working with. So if I open up a course, let's make sure that we can view it the way we want here. Like this course doesn't have a sidebar. Let me put a sidebar on there. And I should probably deactivate my classic editor plugin because that thing can cause.
I was confused why you were on Classic Editor. I thought you were trying to step back in time.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was just troubleshooting issues. Trying to figure out when you use the classic editor plugin, some of the options that are in the right-hand sidebar of Lifter move into the middle of the page under the general settings. So I was in support troubleshooting something. Marcus is taking off. Thanks so much for the help. I have to leave, unfortunately. Keep up the good work. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time. If you want to hop on, we're live every Thursday. So quick start course. Let me put a sidebar on this thing. There's the editor I'm used to. In Cadence, we would do a sidebar like this. There we go. So the question was, how do we make this collapsible? So if I were to go to my course sidebar, let's see what I have in there. I've got my course progress, legacy widget. That's not very useful. So this would be my lesson syllabus, but let me delete that. I'm gonna put in a shortcode block, probably from the LifterLMS shortcodes page. So if I go to the LifterLMS shortcodes page, the course outline is probably the shortcode you'd want to use. And then we want collapse true, toggles true. I don't need the course ID, but I'll just copy this whole thing. Put that in over here. Remove the course ID. The reason you might want to have course ID when you're putting an outline somewhere is maybe you're creating a sales page and you want to show students the outline on that page. By default, this course outline widget is going to grab the post ID of the post that you're looking at. So it's going to be this course specifically. But if you're on a page, the page ID isn't going to line up with the course, so you have to specify which course you want the outline to be from if you're on a page. But since we're on a course, we don't need to do that. And that creates this nice layout where we can toggle. I think that's what the user was looking for there. I'll take a screenshot of this.
Yeah, we should take the link and drop it on his Facebook comment and be like, "Boom, we handled it on the live. Where were you, son?"
Nice.
It's gonna be like, "I was working, Kurt. I was working." Now that's one of the really cool things about doing this stuff live is that, you know, and not for nothing, you are so much faster at this than I am. I would have been fumbling around for 20 minutes to show that.
It's like muscle memory now. This shortcode would be used in syllabus.
I'll take care of putting a comment in the Facebook page for him.
Oh, cool. I actually just dropped it in.
Well, then I'll just go back into my business.
Let me see if we have any other questions here in Facebook. It looks like we got to the bottom of YouTube. There was a question about how can I set up my lesson page? It has a good use of space. Mark complete is above and below. I'd like to collapse the left sidebar. So it looks like this user wants to create a custom setup with their lesson. They want to create like, yeah, move certain items around. And that's a good question. It's a question that comes up a lot. It's like, how do I customize the LifterLMS dashboard page? How do I customize the course pages? And so a lot of that depends on the theme you're using. Here we're using a Cadence theme, and so we have certain customization options. But let me see what options we have with LifterLMS SkyPilot. If I reactivate SkyPilot. SkyPilot unlocks the site editor area. Using the full site editor, we can mess with our templates for courses and things like that. Let me find my single course page. Single course. So if I edit this, this is what my courses would look like by default. So let me reload my quick start course area. This is what it looks like by default. We've got our featured image here in the corner. We've got our title, our course information, title, course information, featured image. And so if we wanted to modify this, maybe we wanted to create a custom setup. And let me see, can I download this photo, open image in a new tab, and then I can move that tab over here. So this is the setup that we're trying to go for, or trying to customize it to make it look something like this, where we have maybe our progress tracking here at the top. We have our mark complete button. We have a hello first name thing going on. So let's take a look at how we would create some of these elements. I would probably start by removing the default header because this screenshot doesn't include a default header. It includes kind of a customized header. And so that customized header might look something like this. It'd be like a columns block. Move that columns block above my group. And what do I want to include in the block? We want to include, looks like we've got a logo, progress, mark complete. So it's like a 4-column layout. I'll probably do something like this. Let's put in maybe a logo would go there. This would be where my progress would go. I'm going to jump back over to the shortcodes area and get the progress shortcode. Course progress, number 10. Drop in my progress, and let's just see what that looks like so far. See if we're headed in the right direction. We're headed in the right direction. Progress is like right there at the top, touching the top of the page. So we might actually want to put some spacing on here. Maybe a little bit of padding, and now that padding is supported in the WordPress core, that's kind of awesome. Put a little bit of padding to give that some space from the top. Then what else? We'll include an image over here, but then what else do we want to include? We want to include the mark complete button. So the mark complete button, back to the shortcodes documentation, mark complete should be here. There we go. LifterLMS mark complete. Let's drop that shortcode over here. Looks like. Oh, and this is inside of a course. I need to go into my lesson. So I'm on the single course page right now, so that wouldn't show up for my course, but let me actually save this thing as a reusable block. So this will be my course and lesson header. Oh, this will be a header. Let's just save that thing. So it's important to know that in the template editor, we have courses and lessons, and those are 2 different post types. So we have 2 different templates to support them. So let me go put my template also over on my lesson. So I did it on courses, but I need to go to single lesson as well. And the single lesson template won't be using this header anymore. It'll be using my custom header. I wonder if I can search it here. Template art. I can choose one of my template parts. I've got my course and lesson header. And then that one, of course, goes at the top, not at the bottom. Let's save that. And then go into one of my lessons. So we have the mark complete button. That looks a little strange. Let's see if we can fix that. Course and lesson header, columns. It's this last column over here with the shortcode. I don't know what kind of formatting options I would do to fix that here. It's taking up basically the whole column. Can we don't really have like vertical align middle stuff. I'm trying to think of what the best way to modify this would be. So we have a 25% width. It's kind of like this blue background.
Yeah, if you lowered the width to like 10%, it would still be, it would still house the button, but reduce the square.
Yeah, that's good. I'll try that. Let's see, change this width to 10%, save that.
And then you've got blue at the top. It might be adopting some of the padding.
Yeah. It probably is. Yeah, the padding settings would be a good lead for this if I put, just see what happens if I put some padding on it. And we could get into some CSS as well. The padding didn't work for me there. Here, I would probably just use CSS. Since we can do CSS in the editor here now, I think it's not in the block. It's where can I add CSS? There's a secret area that I sometimes can find. It was we can edit there it is, the style of the block. So if I have like a short code block,
It's the best LMS, no need to search. The competition, they're left in the lurch.
we'll just add it to the column block. Thought I could add additional CSS. Okay. So if we put additional CSS in my column area, I just don't like that blue background for this layout when I'm trying to clone this specifically. And this is because I'm using the Sky Palette theme, which puts a blue background behind the Mark Complete button by default. So I'd want to take that background off of this background color. So we would say color to red, change it to white. I just don't want to put there. So if I copy this, I'm getting the chat with us box distracting me on this page on the demo site. Let me just remove that whole box. I can edit my stuff a little bit easier.
Save.
Nope, that didn't work for me. Yeah, I'd have to dive a little bit more deeply into the CSS to get that to work. So it looks like the Sky Palette theme forces this blue. It doesn't look too bad here at the bottom where it's usually supposed to go. But since I'm trying to mess with the layout, it's giving me some problems. I'd have to just fight with this with some CSS for a while. But you could also do something with like Elementor and LifterLMS to highly customize the layout there. Or toiling with this a little bit. Usually the Mark Complete area would go right at the bottom, so that would be like here.
It's the best LMS, no need to search. The competition, they're left in the lurch.
Yeah. That's not what I want. Let's put in a short code. So usually that would be down here, but we could customize it a little bit and say, remove the progress bar from here, put it on top. And then we could just keep toiling around with making sure the Mark Complete button gets up there. But let's see if there's other components of this. This would be on the left-hand side. So we would change the order of these columns to be like this. Just kind of keep hammering away at what we can here. So you have a left-hand column. It's more like 25%. Oops. Get back over here. This column's not 33, it's more like 25. And then we've got the outline set up going pretty well there. We've got the back to course information up there at the top, like what they have here. We've got the video, and then Mark Complete's down there on the right. There's another feature I guess I'll highlight while I'm here, which is pretty cool, where we can modify the hello first name thing. Let's see if I can create that setup. So in the paragraph, we'll say hello, short codes first name. Hello user first name, and my name on this site's Arthur Wells, so it should say hello Arthur.
Hello Arthur.
So that's pretty good. And then there's like, of course, some styling things going on where this column has like a border on the bottom. You could even maybe do like a bit of a different background, something like that. So we've got our item up there at the top. Hello, Arthur. Oh, and I didn't put my my logo on there. So I would go here, in an image block from the media library. Do I have a logo? Let's put that as my logo. Oh, it's kind of strange. Let's put that maybe in the middle. And then I probably want to make that smaller. It's not too bad. I probably want this short code to have a little bit more spacing on top. So what I might even do is introduce a spacer. Put the spacer above. The spacer would be like 10 pixels. No, that's probably too much. Let me mess instead of the spacer with the padding. Does that look better? Using padding, and it looks better. And then Hello Arthur could also probably use some padding. Yeah, not bad. I'd mess with this a little more detail, but you can see we're kind of bringing it together a little bit. We could hop on to another question. I just wanted to highlight how with the full site editor, we can do a lot of customizations. And then if we were to go into like CSS land, we could even go deeper. Like this person also has the course title above the course syllabus. So this would be like the, can we get the title? The title of our lesson, What is LifterLMS, could actually go probably over on the right. So we would remove the title from the middle, save that change, and then it would just kind of live over here instead. It's looking pretty good. And I could obsess over this for hours. I love the full site editor. Like getting integrated into the block editor, things become a lot easier. And I could even put this title, I think I could put it into a group, right? So we could group my title block, and then my group could have like a background color that's a little bit different than the color of my title block, something like that. You know, I don't know, just kind of getting creative, getting closer to that. And we would just keep working at it, keep editing it. But the full site editor with LifterLMS and Sky Palettes, what we're taking a look at here and how we can customize the look of it on your course page. I like what I put together here for a header. But since we didn't have any questions coming in, I thought I'd go a little bit into that rabbit hole. Kurt, have you done any new sites with the full site editor, or have you been going back to like Elementor or anything, or have you been kind of unlocking the design freedom here?
Well, I'm just gonna come right out and tell you my last disaster. I know that people that like Divi love Divi, but it seems like every time I get near a Divi site, something happens. So I broke one of my own rules very recently. I was hired to do a simple task to put some SCORM in a website in a certain way that they wanted to implement SCORM. And I thought, okay, no big deal. But I signed into their website, and it's been 6 months since I've been in there. So I signed into the website, and nobody's done any maintenance since the last time I was in there. So everything needed updated. They run an old version of WordPress. But everything in there like looks like normal stuff, right? So in my mind, I just got lazy and I just started updating stuff. And then sure enough, I look at the front end of the website. The front end of the website looks great, right? So I'm like, okay, everything's good. The updates were fine. Everything's cool. And then I go to check on the SCORM content and the edit screens are blank. Like adding a page is blank, adding a course is blank, adding a lesson is blank, adding SCORM content is blank. Anything that's pre-existing in the site I can see, but anything that you want to edit or add is blank. And so it comes down to that troubleshooting again, right? So what version of PHP is there? Well, that's outdated. So let's get the PHP updated. Let's flush the cache. Let's get make sure there's no cache in the browser that's interfering. Let's deactivate plugins and reactivate plugins. And now I'm at the stage where I'm like, I think everything's good except for the latest Divi update. So I'm gonna have to do that like after dark. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to take their site down in the middle of the day or change something major like the whole appearance of the front end, in the middle of the day while people are using it. So that's my latest thing. My latest thing was like, these page builders are great until they're not. Like, and it goes the same for Elementor. Yeah, Elementor had a couple of really big updates last year where the automatic updates happened, and I had 2 or 3 sites that were vastly affected and had to roll them back and then update them a week later after they fixed the bug. But every now and then something glitches, and so to your point, using the native builder can at sometimes be easier. We just have to, again, use case, maintenance. Are you looking to be a webmaster and maintain your website and oversee it all the time, or are you looking to run a business and not focus so much on the site? And if it's the latter, then I'd say keep it as simple as possible.
Right. Yeah, and I think keeping it simple is a really good rule of thumb. We dive into a lot of complicated use cases and examples and stuff, but keeping it simple is fundamentally how you can make a really successful program. Like we've got, like even like what we've just built here, like in the header, customizing this header a little bit makes this interface a little simpler, where we don't have our website header displaying on our courses and lessons. We have kind of a customized thing to keep you engaged in the content that's down here. Like the focus of the page moves down into this area.
And talk about clean, dude. That looks really clean.
Thank you. Yeah, it's easy to be a good designer when you use LifterLMS SkyPilot.
Boom, plug.
Good plug, and you can get $100 off SkyPilot. I think it's like $120. Yeah, so you can get SkyPilot for the first year for just $20 today and tomorrow through the 15th. Yeah, as I unlock more, you see me like struggling through the editor here in this tutorial to try to get the Mark Complete button up in the upper right, and we could probably continue to struggle and make it work, but it's got a nice feel to it, the full site editor, when you really get used to it.
Yeah, it's so interesting when we start talking and you and I start riffing when there's not a lot of questions coming in. But it's like, I've worked with a ton of learning management systems. I've worked with Moodle, Bridge, Learn-Upon. I was just on a podcast this morning with the founder of Automator, of Uncanny Automator. And, he mentioned a bunch of because his background's in e-learning. And he mentioned a bunch that like, oh crap, I worked with that too, Docebo and stuff like that. So when I talk to one of our clients and they're like, oh, I wish it did more, or I'm disappointed, I wish it had this, or I wish it integrated with this other thing, I have to really go back to like, where does that come from? Because these other platforms I've used are horribly limited in their own rights. You know what I mean? And so it's very, very interesting to me when you get into use case and the idea of duplicity or duplication, that when you think like, okay, well, how many users on a percentage basis would see that as a gap in service, and it's surprisingly very, very little. I'm really amazed at what our package brings to the table.
Yeah. I'm just responding here on Facebook to the post with a screenshot of my demo.
Yeah. I don't know if you already put this up or not, but you see this post from David? Just popped in to say I bought a license and I'm leaving another WordPress LMS for Lifter. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. And it's not just a WordPress thing anymore, Will. I mean, one of the things I brought up with Ryan this morning on that podcast, the guy from Uncanny Automator, was we both identified it. Like, why are there not more corporations, small businesses, and people that use LMSs that are, dude, I told you when I started with Lifter that I was used to seeing prices that were in the 6 figures. to host an LMS that's over $100,000 a year, and because they charge a per user license fee and things like that LifterLMS doesn't calculate in its pricing. So like when I see that, it's like, why is the adoption rate not so much higher than it already is? And he had the same, kind of baffled corporate speak answer that I have. It's like that they want to know that they're doing business with an existing contractor or vendor, or they have a limited pool of providers, or someone on the executive staff wants to be in the SaaS space instead of the WordPress space for some reason. There's really not a whole lot of answers that align with finance and common sense, right? If you stick with finance and common sense, you go, wow, this is a deal. Now, for a startup course creator, they look at, let's just say the Universe bundle at $360, and they go, oh my goodness, that's $360. That's a lot of money. And, to the average person, $360 is sizable, but in the grand scheme of business and learning software, it's a drop in the bucket. It really is.
Right. Yeah. And if we think about the WordPress expense list, you have a domain name about $15 a year. Then you have hosting, which you can get like pretty decent hosting that you don't have to think too much about, probably for like 20, $25 a month. So I don't know, you have like $2 from your domain, 25 from your hosting. We just say like $30 a month. You can get like good hosting, decent domain, and you could push it. Like I've used more budget hosts for some of my personal projects, but I'm willing to take on the risk of things breaking and getting frustrated and solving problems in that way. But if we just say conservatively $30 a month, and then we take like a Lifter expense for like 360, what's 360 divided by 12?
It's 30.
30. Okay, so yeah, like so $60 a month. So $60 a month to have like a learning platform, and this is like 5 active sites, but along with a lot of other things like the Skypilot theme that we're showing here on screen, e-commerce capabilities and stuff. That's a lot of functionality and freedom in the WordPress setup for like $60 a month. You can just bring people in, take payments, everything, and of course you can start for cheaper. Like you could start on a budget web host that offers like $5 a month for web hosting. Your domain name would be the same, so it's now like $7 a month plus the free core plugin. So you could get started with a minimum viable product for like $7 a month, pretty reasonably, or even using like a YouTube channel, which is a free platform you could post videos on, posting those videos into other circles you find on the internet, and then doing like a little bit of private consultation. Would get you like maybe an hourly rate of like, I don't know, 20 to $50, which would get you your first month within about 2 hours to create like the complete minimum viable product startup of like sell your time hourly for $20 an hour for 2 hours, buy your first year of web hosting in your domain name, and then set up a free course, get people PayPaling you directly to accept payments for courses not connected to Lifter, so you'd manually enroll them in Lifter, and then you start that engine that gets you up to the $60 a month affordability, where you can have a payment gateway, a nice theme, and just everything sorted out. So there's a lot of budget solutions and ways to get off the ground in that way.
Well, you too, Grace. Grace says, have a fantastic rest of your week. That's awesome. It is the top of the hour, my friend.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, with it being the top of the hour, thanks everyone for joining and everyone watching the replay. Will Middleton and Kurt von Ahnen from LifterLMS signing off for this week. Make sure to leave any comments and we'll be back again live next week.